In the past, field engineering has been divided by equipment and skill type, but there are a lot more points of integration, particularly between IT and medical technology, than meets the eye. So, how does technology now integrate into the healthcare industry? And how much work is it to transition from supporting IT equipment to medical technology? Hi, I'm Demetria Barnett, and welcome to TechWorks Talks. So I have the pleasure of sitting here with one of our talented Source TechWorks FEs. If you wouldn't mind introducing yourself, how long you've kind of been in field service, and maybe an interesting fact about you.
Okay, no, that's fine. This is Joey Johannesson, born and raised in the New Orleans area. And I've been performing work for Source Support since January 2021. So about 2.5 years. And interesting fact, I've been retired since 2018, play golf, ride dirt bikes, and go to the casino. So those are three fun facts.
So it sounds like a good retirement.
Yes, it's like that. Those are the three things I want to do when I retire. And IT work on the side.
Sounds good. Sounds like a good balance.
It's a good plan, yes.
So Joey, tell me a bit about your background. Like, what has your field service journey been up to this point?
Okay, as in before my background, the last 20 years of my career, it's been in a data center environment. So that's a lot of work I do for Source Support is geared towards the IT data center portion and jobs that drop to me from Source Support. That's pretty much my background. That's it. And since January 2021, helped me acquire a lot of jobs, feels confident that, I can go on and complete 100% satisfaction.
Yeah, especially with all that experience.
Yes.
Trying to juggle everything. I know you said, like, we talked about a little of your work with some medical companies, customers, manufacturers, recently. So how did you decide to start working on medical equipment? Was there like an aha moment where you're just like, I can definitely work on this? Or was it just a try and see kind of thing?
Well, with my background in the IT world, it kind of parallels medical equipment, just some medical carts and stuff that I've worked on. It's like it's mechanical with the carts and stuff, but it's also keyboard, modem, battery operated and stuff like that. So it's kind of parallels each other. And like I said, with analyzers and things like that. I've never been exposed to that before, but some of the work that I've done with servers tie into these fluid analyzers and hospitals and things like that. It was kind of like Source Support said, hey, are you interested in working on medical IT equipment? And I said, yeah, it's interesting. I know it can do the IT side of it and the manufacturers, different carts and fluid analyzers and things like that. It kind of ties into it and with the training and all that. It worked out pretty good, and it's just Source Support knew I had the background I had and figured I'd be a good fit, to run parallel with that to get, jobs like that dropped to me.
Yeah, that makes sense. Was it that you kind of saw how publicly or like in just visiting different medical institutions before you started working on the equipment? Did that influence your decision because you had that technical data center background? Did you kind of see how much that integrated, or was it just like, this is all technical, so let me try my hand at it?
Well, it integrated in what really it's kind of after the fact, but I did a 5-week project in 3 of the local hospitals, and it was with IV pumps, upgrading certificates, upgrading firmware and drug library. And I was like, well, I've never fooled with this before, but I know with training, I was ready to go. So let me go by myself. Let me get started on this project. It was lengthy, and after the fact, matter of fact, I did a job last Thursday, and I was in like hospital administration building, and they were training people on these IV pumps. And I looked at it and I said, I recognize that. I've worked on those before. So it's kind of even like these analyzers, fluid analyzers in hospitals in the laboratory, you see it, but you don't really realize that it ties into a server or router or, Ethernet or fiber circuit. So it's pretty cool. Kind of after the fact, aha, yeah, I know that equipment. I've worked on that before. Kind of patted myself on the shoulder. It's like, yeah, okay. So
makes sense. Yeah. And you mentioned training before. How was the training to be able to perform services on now the medical side?
Well, for one thing, it's necessary because even with my background, a lot of people would think, oh, I can do that. But it's taking a training and go, well, it's a good thing for this training because I would think of doing it one way, but each manufacturer has a certain way, certain steps, certain process that you have to follow. And it's kind of like, oh, okay, this is how it should work, which was pretty cool. The training, some of it's short, courses, some of it's lengthy. Some of the ones I've taken were like, took me like 3 days, and some of it was like 6 hours of training. So it's pretty straightforward, but it's necessary. I mean, you can't like think you can bypass that and be successful working on medical equipment.
Right, right. Even with a lot of experience, maybe in one field, like you said, manufacturers have kind of their specifications of what they
Yes.
want to do and how they want it done. So, was the training easier or more difficult due to the experience that you already had?
I'd say probably middle of the road because some of the training and manufacturer's equipment I had worked on in the past, but
Mhm.
some of it that I didn't, it was like I had to really take my time and with the training to go, okay, well, this is partially what I've done before, but this is the other end of it that's not really IT related, but medical equipment side of it. So it made a difference, but the training, I mean, it's essential. For one thing, you have to pass the training and be certified. And another thing, you really need that knowledge before you go on a customer's premise.
Yeah, definitely. I guess after the training and you had a few assignments,
Yes.
working on different types of medical equipment, what newly gained skills have you found the most interesting since working with medical equipment?
And, that's kind of hard to say, but it was like the different types of equipment, the skills, it's almost like on the fly. Going with the training, it's like, okay, this is what the training is about. But like in real life situation, you get out there and like a server is on a nice clean table and things like that. And all of a sudden, okay, now it's under a customer's counter behind 14 storage boxes and, with all these cables and things. It's like, well, you really have to learn their equipment to know what to look for. And, once or twice I was like, I was looking for the wrong piece of equipment because it was covered behind like a curtain, like the magic curtain,
Ah.
in a laboratory. It's like, oh, here it is. But the skills, newly learned skills is working on particular customers' equipment. And like I said before, they have their own way and their own process, and they're different from each other that you really have
Mhm.
to follow. There's no shortcuts because you're talking about high profile hospitals and doctors' offices and things like that. You can't slip up and try to take shortcuts.
Right, right. So would you say, aside from the technical skills, it was also kind of a learning experience how to deal with environments and like the people, or was it kind of similar to what you had experienced before?
Well, experience before, like in the data center environment, it was, I'd say 95% of the time I was on my own. Allow me access in the data center and my contact would let me in and just do the work. But in these hospital and doctors environments, you really have to have soft skills also because you're fooling with interacting with physicians, nurses, especially when I did the job, the 5 week job with, upgrading these IV pumps. I mean, it was 5 weeks. So, I mean, you have to have soft skills because you're seeing different doctors and different people bring you this equipment day in and day out. Soft skills is definitely a must. You can't go in there like gangbusters. It's like, oh, I know what I'm doing. It doesn't work like that. You don't stay employed long like that. But I'd say most important point is you have to have soft skills. You can have all the IT experience in the world, but if you don't have people skills, it's probably not going to work out for you.
That makes sense. And I guess to kind of round it all out, what would you tell a field engineer with kind of that data center skill set who maybe wants to start supporting medical equipment?
I had a friend of mine ask me about it, as a matter of fact, recently. And I told him with the IT skills, sign on the source support, the onboarding process. I said, you're just going to have more than the IT skills. It's going to be just what we really talked about is the soft skills, but the training is a must. You can't bypass the training and any training that's offered. And I take it. It drops to me. It's suggested for me. I take it. You can't have too many certifications in the medical IT field.
Nice. Well, thank you again so much for taking time out of your day to sit with us and answer a few questions.
You're more
Really
than
appreciate it.
welcome.
Thanks everyone for tuning in. If you want to learn more about field engineering with Source TechWorks, visit sourcesupport.com/techworks. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Source Support Services for updates, clips, and more. Next time, we'll dive into why more and more companies are starting to look for independent field engineers and how both parties can work together. So remember to subscribe to the podcast on YouTube and most other places you get podcasts. And until next time, thank you for your support.